Minister Malusi Gigaba says the smart identification card remains the most secure form of identification ever produced. The minister was responding to a DA parliamentary question. The question was whether the department had detected any cases of fraud or corruption since the rollout of the new smart IDs in South Africa, and how and if the system could be infiltrated. The minister assured the party the cards were quite safe. Now, in light of the increase in identity theft, not just in South Africa, we heard, but worldwide, well, we are joined now by Home Affairs spokesperson Mayihlome Tshwete. Very good morning to you. Thanks for joining us.
Morning, and morning to your viewers.
I'm sure this is something that you guys are well on top of and very aware of. Now, the minister made the statement that I just read back in October of last year. Since then, have you had any reports of this new smart cards being cloned or actually any instances of fraud?
Well, there's been attempts, unsuccessful attempts, where we discover documents that are trying to look like the smart ID. But as the minister has said, those ones are easy to verify. Home Affairs smart ID versus someone might try create. So there hasn't been any corruption or fraud around the new smart ID. Obviously, there's still challenges with the green ID book, and those still persist. This is why we introduced the new smart ID, to try prevent the fraud that was happening with the green ID book.
How are you protecting Home Affairs from the scourge of the inside job of people on the inside of the department being or placing others at risk?
You know, we have a passionate minister and DG who are fighting passionately against issues of corruption. Earlier on last year, around May, minister launched a campaign or operation called Visa Masina, which means clearing out the rot. And in a space of 6 months, over 30 officials were arrested for engaging in irregular or corruption activity using our offices. So we don't take it lightly, and we throw the book to people who are involved in that kind of activity in the department. The public has bestowed a great trust on Home Affairs officials, and as you've shared the stories of Temba, you can see the impact that has on somebody's life when somebody betrays that trust. So we don't take it lightly at all. In fact, we are the ones that are arguing for the courts to give harsher penalties around people who are involved in ID theft and issues of identity corruption. We don't take it lightly, and we'll continue pulling these people out of our system that are abusing our system.
Any system can be infiltrated wherever there's a human factor involved. What would you say are the challenges that you at Home Affairs are facing with this system, but also elsewhere right now?
Look, I think we should move towards a paperless Home Affairs. That's the future. And Minister Gigaba has repeatedly said that he wants Home Affairs to be the face of e-governance. Once you begin to make those steps towards e-governance, a lot of issues of corruption will be resolved. For instance, when you apply for a green ID book, you use paper and the likes, and they stay in offices and all that. But with the new smart ID, your information is captured almost on the spot and simultaneously. So we get your information, and it goes and it's copied or kept immediately, as opposed to having papers that are kept in offices that can be manipulated.
I wanted to, we asked a question to our viewers a short while ago around, why they think. We've got one from Arnold Spoo Ladla who've come in, and he's got a scenario that is put to us. He says, I'm also a victim of ID theft or fraud. This guy is employed and blocking me from getting employment. Please assist. Do you get these kinds of complaints, and what would you tell a guy like Arnold in this case?
Yes, we do get these type of complaints, and we have tried to make ourselves the most accessible department in government, and I think we are. We have Home Affairs handles on social media, so that people like that can contact them and we can look into their cases. As I've said, I get calls from people who have gone through hell as a result of ID theft. So I sympathize, and I truly understand what they're going through. So we don't take it lightly. Those who contact us, we try to resolve their matter as speedily as possible.
Now, just to wrap the whole thing up, tell us quickly about the role or the rollout of the smart ID card processes. How far down the road are we, and what would be an ideal scenario for you?
Well, an ideal scenario is that we reach close to 30 million South Africans in the next 10 years. Hopefully, the partnership with the banks can bring that at that time down considerably. We introduced the new Smart ID to deal with issues like this. So when we did that, we also picked up some sort of a phenomenon of people insisting to go apply for the Green ID book. So some people are still targeting the Green ID book, knowing that the Smart ID is a lot harder to have corruption around. So our responsibility is to make sure that this rollout happens at a faster rate. Currently, we have 140 offices that are doing live capture that create the Smart ID. This year, we're going to be introducing another 38 offices. So we're going to go close to 200 in terms of these live capture offices. There's a partnership with the banks that's also going to give us a bigger footprint. That is also going to introduce something called e-channel, which is applying online. So we are looking at innovative ways that we can reach more South Africans to introduce the Smart ID, because we do think it's a far safer option than the Green ID book. And everything is being done to make sure that people get their Smart ID a lot quicker than the current pace that is happening.
Well, Mayihlome, thank you for joining us today and telling us about what you guys are doing and what you should be doing if you don't want your identity to be stolen. It can cause quite a lot of mayhem in your life. Mayihlome Tshwete is the spokesperson for the Department of Home Affairs here in South Africa. Thank you for coming in today and putting us in the official picture. Thank you once again. Yes, of course, we're dealing with identity theft today. It is on the rise locally and internationally. Consumers these days, well, they are more worried about fending off hackers than pickpockets, it seems, as consumers seek some security. Identity theft insurance is growing in popularity.